So, hello everyone. I guess I'm going to start without introduction, but it's fine. First of all, hello, I'm Juha. This is my first time presenting on a stage, so it feels like I'm being thrown to wolves after the Vitali speech because it was really, really good. And so I hope I will manage somehow from this without you eating me in this presentation. So, my name is Juha-Pekka Rajaniemi. I have been working for Klevu for 1.5 years. I'm a headless front-end lead, and I'm the guy who is bringing us the SDKs and all the tools to create better developer experience when creating Klevu front-ends on the Klevu software. And I'm here to talk today about lighting fast web components. Well, they're not fast in a way of like displaying on the website, but they're fast to develop. And that's, I think, the most key aspect when creating websites. So we created a survey for our agencies, and we were asking about how they're doing their headless development. And more than half of the agencies are saying that they are providing a headless development. And it's really something that's still picking up. And this number is really low in EU and in Europe. In Asia, it's really high. It was more than 90% of the agencies in Asia and Pacific region are making headless websites. We're still making a little bit older way, but still we're coming there in the behind. But more interesting is that just 34% are saying that they're going to invest into headless development. So the first question is that, are we still doing the headless? It looks like 2 years ago we were to 68% of the agencies were saying that they're making headless solutions, and now 77% are saying that they're going to do it in the next couple of years. So why we are so slow taking up these headless solutions, even though we know that they make really nice, rich experiences and they're like giving us a good results. So, well, we first asked, is it due to costs? No, it's just 10% are saying that it's due to the costs, and 15% saying that it's economic situation right now. It's not the reason, really. I think so. Maybe it's finding a talent to do it. Yes, a little bit. 15% of those who provide headless service, it's a problem of trying to find an engineer, and 23% of agencies are saying that it's the reason for not doing headless stuff because we can't find the developers to do it. And those agencies are planning on doing it, saying that they're going to train the in-house developers into headless world so that it's not about finding new talent, but just training old developers into new technologies. But then we found something interesting is that what's the biggest thing why we're not making headless development, and lack of teams. Well, it makes sense because in the headless world, we're making small components usually, and everything is custom made, the experiences are custom, and you don't have anything ready-made, so you have to make everything from scratch. It means that the projects are a little bit longer, a little bit more expensive, and the customers are saying, no, we're not going to do it. So if we had a solution for this, and we have industry has made a solution for this. When we are making modern front-end development, we are using components. So these small pieces of functionality. You have heard about React, Vue, Angular, different kinds of front-end frameworks. It's all made in components. It's a small piece of functionality. It can be combined with each other. You can use the same components in different projects, kickstart the new project, make it faster. And we are using them already all the places. All the modern applications are made with these components. All the new designs are made with the components. Figma is component-based, design systems are component-based, the test systems are component-based, everything is component-based. And everyone got their own component library, basically. But there's a problems, I think. They're all made usually in one framework, and it gives you a limitation that you have to use that one framework for that work. We know that in web development, the JS framework's life cycle is usually around 10 years at maximum. We're really keen on creating new frameworks all the time. And then it comes a new generation of front-end developers saying, no, we found this new thing, we want to do everything in this new one. And the thing is that the components do not transfer from those between the frameworks. And then there is a thing that these frameworks usually update over the time, and might be a big changes during the different versions, so that there needs lots of migration work, and it's a huge pain to upkeep these components over the time. And the worst thing, I think, about different framework components is the styling and customization. Almost every framework has a different way of styling components. In the React, we have a plain CSS, plain JS, CSS in JS or whatever. There's like dozens of different ways to style the components. Every framework or platform decides a different way, and we don't really agree on how to do it. But then we come to today's topic, which is the web components. It's the solution for these problems. So it's an industry standard way of creating components that works in your native browser without any frameworks. There's absolutely no frameworks. It's just an HTML code. It's an extension to the browsers. I just checked that the Chrome made it available 2016, so it has been already a quite long time. But as with everything, what we do with the modern browsers is that it takes huge amounts of time before people start really using them. I saw this happening when the progressive web apps came. We had them for years before our industry noticed that, okay, this might help us in a way of creating mobile applications instead of, making progressive web apps instead of mobile applications. It was like a bridge for the web to create really nice experiences. And I think the web components is going to be the same thing. And the time is now. It's been so long that there is a support in most of the browsers. All of the modern browsers except the IE supports this. So that means almost all the customers. There are some cases, of course, that cannot go with this route, but that's the most of the users. And the thing about web components is that it has a really standard way, really strict definition of how to style the components. So when the developers are creating small pieces of components in the different companies, they have to use the same tools. Of course, they can tweak it a little bit, but they still have to use the same tools to create this styling. And then I think that's also the key when you're creating, you have a multiple clients as an agency, and you might choose a different tech stack in those places. And if you have just one way of doing things, I think it really speeds up the learning curve for developers. You don't have to learn everything. You just learn just this one thing and then use it all the places. So, more about web components. They're a small piece of functionality, just like a normal components. Like I said, it's the standard. It's just HTML and JavaScript. There's nothing else to it. Just the thing that works with the web browsers. And what they look like, it's like HTML element, just like a B tag or image tag or video tag. I think the video tag is the best example. That's like a first level of web component. There's a functionality behind it which is quite wide, but it shows you just a small tag with a few parameters or attributes that you can modify. And when it comes to the styling, web components have three ways to style components. One is the CSS properties, which is the variables that you can easily drag and drop and change in your browser. One is the slots, which means that you can slot components inside of each other. It's a standard. And then there is a part where the component developer exposes a region where you can modify with any CSS, saying that, for example, I want to modify only, I'm allowing only modify this outer border of this component, for example. So the developer of the component is really in control, and you cannot do too complicated stuff with it. And the really nice thing about web components is that it's encapsulated, meaning that it doesn't interfere with anything else. You can develop in any language with any framework, and it's encapsulated inside of itself. The browser hides it from everyone else, so you cannot make these problems that, for example, that you load a jQuery in the site and do some functionality, and then you have another piece of functionality that breaks the first functionality because they're clashing the same code. But with web components, it's impossible because it's all encapsulated. So, but still, we need the developers to create these web components. It's a specialized skill. It's slightly more complicated than creating React or Vue components right now. But we as a company, we're starting to tackle that, which I can see that the slide is really nicely broken. We start working on Klevu web components with an idea that we build these small pieces that you can use in the discovery purposes for search boxes, for category navigation, for recommendations. We build these ready-made components that you can combine with your own components in your own frameworks. And the thing is, it works with all the frameworks, except the React, which is in the next version is about to change. But we are releasing a React library at the same time to fix this one framework that doesn't work with the web components right now. And we're going to actually release it as a beta after. In this presentation, it's going to be my little party trick in the end. So let's see how it goes. And this is still in development. We have been working on it for a couple of months now. And we're not like close to done, but we're in a stage that we could start getting feedback from it. That is this something that you could, as an agency, use in your project? Would it help to speed up the development and create experiences for clients? So how does it help? Well, we have this list of ready-made components. It's actually, because it's HTML, you can copy-paste it really easily if you just inject the JavaScript and then copy-paste the HTML. And you can use any of the components. You can like pick and choose that I want to have these components interact in this way. And because it's a standard JavaScript, you can create the interaction really easily. Think about it, if you have a different clients that have a different requirements, and you notice that you have a different stack might help in that client's situation, you can use these same components in all of different technology stacks. You need to learn just once to use these components, and that's it. And also, if you're going to build your own web components, they should be able to connect with standard web components, giving you the ability to create really fast, just styling the components again with the standard way. And then you get fast designs. What we have there is, it's available right now in this address. What we have there is, I call them atoms. What Brad Frost was telling us 10, 15 years ago, I can't remember when it was, he coined the concept of atoms, components, modules, and applications. So we have atoms like a button, chip, a drop-down, ready-made styled, which you can use just these small components, just the button. You could take only that from the component library, use it in your project, and run with it. But, of course, we are providing more. We are providing ready-made components, which are a little bit more complicated, like a search field that makes the search automatically from Klevu backend. You don't need to do anything else than inject this one HTML tag, and it will give you the search result in JavaScript event. You don't need to do any kind of specialized coding. So here's the screenshot of the site. There you can see there's a guide how to get started, install it, understanding a little bit of the styling, still early stages. And then you can see here is the atoms, and then there's components on the left side and later on. And how many of you are using a storybook in your couple of them, right? Yeah, this is a storybook, but with the web components. It's the same thing, so it's a visual tool to see how the components work. All the React Angular views should use this to show their component libraries. It's really easy to get started. For example, here's the Klevu recommendation web component. You can see the preview, you can see the code. As you can see, it's one DAG with the 2 attributes. Copy-paste that to your site, you're up and running. You have a recommendation just like in an example in your website. And it has the visual tools. So here's another component called the search field. You can modify the attributes in the tool, and you can see it live changing. Like here is the example that, okay, the contrast is a little bit low, but the search field changes its looks totally by just changing the variant version of the component. And here's another example, how the CSS properties. So here we can see the Chrome developer tools. It shows you all the variables that you can modify. So here I'm increasing the spacing a little bit. You can directly see how it changes the look and feel of the site. Then I'm changing the aspect ratio of the image. Now it went a little bit too narrow or too low, and feeling okay, going in that direction. Oh, went too far. So let's finding something in between. Yes, we have a good-looking category page now. And the goal is that we provide these properties as much as possible that you can get something like 80% work done just by chasing these variables. But then you can dig deeper with the slots and parts and modify really everything about the components. Then I promised a party trick. So let's try what happens. I'm gonna click the link, or just show it from here. There we go. Yes, and it's all open source, so it's in the GitHub. Anyone can go and check it out. It's in an NPM already, but it's in alpha version. So now it's time to try the party trick, which is here. And we want to release the master a minor version, so 0.1 version. And let's see. Yay! So in 3 minutes, we have 0.1 version released from the components. And that's not all yet. Where's my cursor? So, a conclusion. I think we should build more components as an industry. We can see it with the Vue storefront. Everything is componentized in the world. We should go more for it, but I think we should go with the standards, not with the specific frameworks, but more with the standards. And please try the Klevu web components. Thanks.